What is happening? What is happening? Hello, how are you? My name is Scott. Welcome back to my channel, CineRam. I am watching Alfred Hitchcock movies. I'm doing a whole series on Alfred Hitchcock movies, many of which I have not seen, most of which I have not seen. Taking it week at a time, one film per week, I guess. And I wanted to get 2 videos done this week, but I'm not sure if I'm going to have time again because I had I was pretty busy on my days off this week. Maybe next week I'll be able to do 2 Alfred Hitchcock movies instead of just 1. But I'm on to Suspicion now. Suspicion is a movie that came out in 1941, just 1 year after the Oscar-winning picture Rebecca. I talked in my previous videos about Rebecca and how I felt uncomfortable during a portion of it, at least. The first few scenes of this movie were downright painful. The main character, Joan Fontaine, again, also the main character in Rebecca. Joan Fontaine plays a woman named Lina, who is not yet married. She's still living at home with her parents. You know, they're not sure that she's the marrying kind, as they say. Not sure she'll attract a husband. And then she runs into the character played by Cary Grant, whose name is Johnnie Aysgarth. And right from the start, this guy does not seem like a good dude. He's very pushy, he's very insistent, then when she thinks that he actually likes her, he then stops communicating with her, doesn't write, doesn't call, she can't reach him, she spends several days just hoping that he'll come around, that he'll visit, that he'll call, that he makes some attempt to communicate that he wants to see her again. And I'm just like, girl, please, you know, move on. My God, this guy is bad news, you know. He might be funny, he might be kind of charming and good looking, but give me a break. As I said, Joan Fontaine was the main character in Rebecca. Cary Grant, of course, is a very, very famous movie star from the period. Before he was in Suspicion, he was in Bringing Up Baby, His Girl Friday, The Philadelphia Story, none of which I have seen. But he's also in several other Hitchcock movies, which I will be seeing in this series, in particular Notorious, To Catch a Thief, and North by Northwest. And North by Northwest is one of the few Hitchcock movies that I actually saw before I started this series. Johnny eventually does reconnect with Lina, and he develops a pet name for her. He calls her Monkey Face. I'm just like, this is stupid, right? She should be insulted by this, you know. There's this sort of classic mentality that, you know, if a guy, you know, says something slightly disparaging to a woman, she'll be, you know, more receptive to him, something like that. I don't know. I hope that's not true. And it actually is kind of endearing after a while. He keeps calling. In fact, I think he only calls her by her real first name, Lina, twice throughout the entire movie. I could be wrong about that. I tend to make note of, you know, people's names and things like that, but he almost always calls her Monkey Face. They spend some time together. They go for a dance. They go for a drive. They fall in love very quickly and get married very, very quickly, just like what happened in Rebecca. You know, there's no big wedding. They go to, you know, the Justice of the Peace or whatever. They get it done really quickly. And then they move in together. He gets her a really great house with a maid and some nice furniture and everything like that. And then he tells her that he doesn't have any money. He borrowed basically 200 pounds from a friend, basically, so that he could take her on a really lavish honeymoon to all different cities, including Monte Carlo, which was also featured prominently in Rebecca. But in fact, he just sort of, you know, is a kind of a scammer. He's very sort of upfront about it, actually. He's just like, no, I don't have any money at all. You know, I just borrow from friends, you know, and if I need to pay those friends back, maybe they'll borrow more money from other friends, you know. She's just like, but we can't live this way. We can't afford this house. We can't afford the maid. We can't afford the, you know, anything at all, you know, if you don't work, you know. And, you know, if I'm not working and I'm just living on an allowance from my parents, you know, that's not going to cover it. He's just like, well, it'll be okay. I'll think of something. You know, he's very sort of, you know, lets it sort of roll off of his back, you know. Things may seem bad now, but I'm sure they'll be fine eventually, you know. And he kind of reminded me of Bradley Cooper, actually, because Bradley Cooper's played a couple of characters like this. Characters who are really, don't seem to be worth much, but you just can't help but like them anyway, just because they're so gregarious. And that's part of, you know, Cary Grant's charm. He's just a charming guy, and he brings that charm to the character. There's another noteworthy character named Beaky. Beaky is a longtime friend of Johnny's. Beaky's played by Nigel Bruce, who's an actor who was actually had a small part in Rebecca, and he played Dr. Watson in 14 films about Sherlock Holmes. Sherlock Holmes was played by Basil Rathbone in those films. I haven't seen any of them. This is just basically what I've read up on. But if you've seen him anywhere before, outside of these films, it's probably, seen him as Dr. Watson. Beaky is a fairly wealthy guy, a longtime friend, and Johnny tries roping into a real estate deal, but Lina is not certain that that's what's best for Beaky, because Johnny is kind of unreliable. And furthermore, Lina also finds out that when he got a job basically working for a estate management company, he quickly overstepped and borrowed some money from an account and didn't pay it back, and his boss fired him. Meanwhile, he's continuing to gamble and spend extravagantly. And then Lina becomes worried that he's not going to have many options to pay this money back and might get prosecuted and go to jail. So he's going to try and scam his friend Beaky, or kill Beaky, or kill her for her inheritance, and she just gets increasingly worried that this guy is up to no good and is going to do something terrible. Meanwhile, her suspicions, as they are, kind of get satisfied, or what's the word I'm looking for? Basically, she finds out that her suspicions are unfounded with each scheme that he seems to be trying to pull. She inherits a couple of chairs from her family. They're like really, sort of museum pieces. They're very valuable. He sells them to get some money, but then he buys them back later. So she's like, oh, he's really not such a bad guy after all. And there's this sort of back and forth between, oh, maybe he's not up to no good. Maybe he's planning to kill Beaky. Maybe he did kill Beaky. Oh, no, he didn't actually. He's actually an okay guy. He may not be very responsible. He may not know how to save money and budget and things like that, but he's really not a bad guy, and I'm glad I married him and everything like that. She goes back and forth like that. But when things get really, really bad for them, and it looks like there's just no way out, then she really starts to get worried that Johnny is actually going to kill her, that he's going to profit somehow from her death and take care of his debt to the company that he worked for, and won't be prosecuted and won't go to jail. And at that point, there's a scene in which Johnny is proceeding up the steps of their house. There's up the staircase with a tray, and on that tray is a glass of milk. And that milk seems to be lit from within. It's very, very, very noticeable in the shot. And I'm just like, oh, this is the exact same scene that I thought was in the 39 Steps. And if you watch my video for the 39 Steps, there was a photograph that I saw from an old movie in which there's a guy walking up a staircase with a glass of milk on a tray, looking very suspicious. Is it drugged? Is it poisoned? Blah, blah, blah. And since it was on a staircase, I thought the 39 Steps was the staircase. But no, it was from this movie, actually. So I'm glad I got that sorted out. I know what that film that's from now. Like I said, the courtship part of this movie, like I said, is just downright painful. Clearly this guy is very pushy, and he's not very reliable, doesn't seem very honest, and yet she's pining after him and waiting for him to contact her. I'm just like, please, will you pick somebody else? I know he's Cary Grant, but come on, he's no good, really. But once they get married, then things start to, get a little bit better. And I'd like to just mention that Joan Fontaine won the Best Actress Oscar for this movie. I think this is very well deserved, because I really liked her performance in this. In some ways, I like this better than Rebecca, but I'm not crazy about the ending. This is the whole thrust behind this movie is the suspicion that she has is he's going to do something terrible, and I can't really talk about whether that actually pays off or not. But I will say that the ending, while unexpected, is also kind of underwhelming. While I like the film overall more than Rebecca, actually, just overall, not crazy about the ending. Whereas the ending to Rebecca was a lot more satisfying. One other thing. Mrs. McMaidlaw, who is Lina's mother, is played by Mae Whitty, who is in The Lady Vanishes. She was the woman, the governess that disappeared dramatically from the train. They couldn't find her anywhere. in case you're curious about that kind of thing. Also wanted to mention that Suspicion, like Rebecca, is also based on a novel called Before the Fact, which was written by a guy named Anthony Berkeley Cox, but he wrote it under a pen name, which was Francis Iles. I think that's how you say it. I-L-E-S, Iles, perhaps. Anyway, a little bit of info there for you. The next film that I'm going to be watching for my series is Saboteur. Saboteur. Gotta be a thriller, right? Gotta be like an actual legit thriller, yeah. Whereas Suspicion, I'm not sure. Is it a thriller or is it not, you know? She suspects. Is there a payoff? Maybe not. Anyway, that's my video for now. I'll be uploading a video about Saboteur after I watch it, which will be next week. Hope you've enjoyed the videos in my series so far. If you have not seen others and would like to, the link to the playlist is below in the video description, as is the link to my Facebook page, so you can check it out there. As like any video, if you're worried about missing any new videos of mine into your subscription inbox, you can always find them on my Facebook page there. You don't even have to like the page, you know, it doesn't matter to me. Just, you can bookmark it and check it out later, you know, save the URL or something like that. But all my new videos are posted on that Facebook page, so you can always be sure to find them there. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.